I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another night of iRacing action here on the National Racing Network. Tonight it's going to be the Stars and Cars of the USFPRO Championships coming to you from the streets of Long Beach, California. My name is Chris Graham, joined in the booth as always by Mr. James Watson and the Bizzler, Mr. Patrick Byrne. And James, I'll tell you what, we're coming to a place that is I'm really looking forward to. I love watching these cars rip around Long Beach. They put on a fantastic show, but this is a tight, twisty place to get around with absolutely no margin for error.
No, and we've typically seen that reflect in turn one here oftentimes. We've seen a lot of crazy moments and chaos going into turn one here on lap one, so you think we wouldn't expect to see that again, but we'll see. But yeah, this track is just so good with these cars. It fits how these cars drive so well, and they're small enough to where you can actively race side by side and throw moves and whatnot without really fearing for your life, like the land yachts that are the IR-18 compared to these things.
Yeah, and Bizzle, we look at the SOF on this one. It's a 37-37 strength of field as we're following along with Ted Burns. Teddy B carrying the number one tonight. Well, we have a lot of cars that are very, very quick at the front of this field. Top two in points are both entered in this race. Everett Paddock, Alexander Wesley Hazelworth, Nicholas Daly, the 1 through 5 in the SOF. There's a lot of good cars. So while it may not be draft heavy, it doesn't mean you're going to see a lot of separation in the cars.
Yeah, this track lends itself really well to very, very close, tight racing. I know, Chris, you and me were in a tin top race last week here, and for a while, especially in the Cadillac class, we were in the Kias, but they were side by side just about the entire race, beating and banging off each other. So looking forward to a really great race tonight between these guys. These cars are really, really small, smaller than really anything else that runs here, so a lot of room to go side by side through these corners.
Yeah, out of turn number 7 there for Ted Burns. He's making the approach to turn 8. This one is absolutely critical because it's a faster section of racetrack than you would think, but it leads into the hairpin. There's really no room to make a move unless you get it done right there. You had better be to the inside of the car you're trying to pass as you come through the hairpin. Very quickly back to the throttle and then the blast down Shoreline Drive. One of the most iconic straightaways in racing as we see Everett Paddock set the fastest lap of the race, but he will be eclipsed by Ted Burns. 1 minute 14.732 and almost 0.4 of a second to Everett Paddock in second after lap number 1. I'm actually really interested to see how this split is going to shake out, because ordinarily you think a 37. Oh, whoa! What a save by Ted Burns. Full lockup.
Oh my god.
Into 5.
That's
6. Oh my goodness.
That's a disaster, though. We all know this is the money lap. Oh, and this is not a. Yeah, he's parking it. Oh man, this is not a track you want to screw up qualifying. Ted is gonna need some serious luck in the next 4 minutes. Otherwise, he's gonna have his work cut out for him.
Brian Molitor after lap number 1, 1 minute 14.858. It's only a tenth and a quarter separating these two. And if Molitor is able to keep the car on the racetrack, he could well set pole. But man, really tight on entry and exit of that corner. Oh, and he did clip the wall. Molitor's going to hold on. Pick up Aiden Luis Ingrata. He's 5th quick. He was a half second back after lap number 1. But sometimes that's just getting some tire warming done still in the early part of the lap. What's interesting here, guys, and we'll get your opinions on this, but the weather conditions may not be all that friendly. Partly cloudy skies, 64-degree ambient, 66-degree track temperature. This place is cold, and it's going to take a while to get the tires up to temperature.
Yeah, and this isn't exactly a track you want to have to be worrying about, because there's a lot of medium to high speed 90-degree corners, which is a nightmare when the tires are so cold as you're dealing with it, which is why we've seen all these top drivers that we know well just making some uncharacteristic mistakes in qualifying, honestly.
Well, we'll follow along with Ingrata as he comes down over the start-finish line to complete his run, and he will move up to position number 4, 1 minute 14.923. Cars left on the racetrack. I believe Mike Holler is still out here. He is. The Citizens Climate Lobby number 13. Oh, baby, big slide there. Out of turn 6. This is a really tricky section of the racetrack. You're exiting turn 6 uphill. You're almost immediately cresting. The car gets very light. And at the same time, you're trying to transition into that 90-degree right-hander at turn 8.
Yeah, and to me, that's always been the corner I've struggled with the most, is you're having to do so much that you just can't quite figure out where you are sometimes, and can't quite find your braking marker quick enough. So you just end up carrying a little too much speed, and you just plow the wall on the back straightaway. Like, all the times I wreck at Long Beach, most of them are that corner.
All the times you wreck at Long Beach. James Watson, an aficionado of burying it deep in the fence here at Long Beach. So
this is surprisingly a track that I am very good at not crashing at. I don't think there's only one major incident I can remember I've had here. It was in Camel coming onto the back straightaway. I just clipped the inside wall a little too much, got the car a little sideways, completely minor crash, except the prototype leaders were right behind me, and those cheese wedges threw my Audi up and over the fence.
Yeah, that is a danger here.
In fact, my first win in Essera came here, and I also won in an ARCA car in a league race here too.
2 cars that, well, Ezra was the Indy cars. They belong here. The ARCA cars, that's a Toyota Celebrity Pro race. Well, let's pull up the starting grid, as it is a short pace lap here. So Ted Burns will be on the pole in the Downforce Racing number 1. Lap time of 1 minute 14.732. Lining up to his outside will be the number 2 of Brian Molitor. We mentioned only a tenth and change back. Both of these guys not scoring on lap number 2 in qualifications. Row number 2 will have the TNT Racing number 3 of Everett Paddock, lining up alongside of the number 16 of Canada's Aiden Luis Ingrata. Row 3 tonight will be the Air Alaska number 8 of Sam Carasala alongside of the 10 of Mobin Khan. Row 4, Nicholas Daly alongside of Canada's Nathan Block. Row 5, the law firm Alexander Wesley Hazelworth and Jason Miller. Row 6, Brian Labarge and Frank Wynn. Row 7, Carl Lempool and Rod Eskew. Mike Collar and Wes Shire will complete the grid here this evening as the field is already through the hairpin. They are doubled up and actually pretty clean looking here coming down to the start. Oh, Holler really has to jump on the binders at the back. Green flag goes in the air. Ted Burns will have a commanding lead to turn 1. Everett Paddock having to look on Brian Molitor. Paddock going to have the inside lane into 1. He'll make the pass cleanly and clear. Now it's going to be Aiden Luis and Grata. Molitor, and Grata goes around. 2 cars into the outside wall. It's going to be Mobin Khan and Aiden Luis and Grata. Trouble also. Oh, we've got a huge wreck. Frank Wynn getting into Jason Miller. Rod Eskew going around as well. We have got multiple incidents here on lap number 1.
Sheesh.
Is this a next car race? Because we just took out half the field in the first half of the track.
Yeah, Alexander Wesley Hazelworth, that car looks to be damaged. Oh, yeah, the whole right side missing. Right front tire pointed the wrong direction. Multiple incidents here on lap number 1. Let's take a look and pull up the NRN replay here on incident number 1. This one, Aiden Luis and Grata and Mobin Khan down into turn 1.
Just
a little bit of punterito there from Khan.
Yep.
Now the next incident, let's take a look and we'll pull this one up here. This, I believe, is everybody slowing down for the first incident. But then a big lockup by Hazelworth. Oh, and it just stops everybody up. Trying to get around the fountain. More contact. Lots of incidents going on here early in this race.
Yeah, I just don't know what Hazelworth was trying to do right there. Like, I don't know if he just locked up or was trying to send it, but yeah, that didn't end well for anyone.
No, and right now at the front of the field, it's going to be a battle between Ted Burns and Everett Paddock. Nice to see Everett running up towards the front of the field and in a podium position right now. Sam Carasala holds on to third, but he's about 1.6 seconds back of the race leader. We move to that second group, and it's going to be Carasala and Nathan Block in the fight for the third position. The only real battle right now is going to be back for the 9th position. That's Brian Labarge, Wes Shire, and Frank Wynn, and Wynn's about 1.2 seconds back. Mobin Khan also in that one, so it'll be 8, 9, and 10. Khan may have some damages. He's going to clear out of the way, but now you've got cars re-entering.
Oh, no. Okay, that fair play by, I couldn't tell who that was, but that's great classy driving to hold up and let everyone pass.
Yeah, it looked like Jason Miller kind of grabbing the binders, not trying to insert himself into a battle. And quite frankly, your Bizzle, that's a skill that you have to develop at a place like Long Beach. Being able to look at the relative and judge who's where and go, okay, this is a battle that's coming up on me, not just one car.
Yeah, and you kind of have to plan when they're going to pass you. It's a big thing. I know in the multi-class racing, I don't think I've ever done a single class race here at Long Beach, but especially in a multi-class event, you have to time yourself, slow yourself down in some of the straightaways, take some of the corners extra slow, just so that pack passes you down one of the straightaways and you're not holding them up and getting them impatient, for example, coming into the hairpin here.
Yeah, that hairpin is, if you were to build this racetrack today, they would say the hairpin is too tight and you can't run cars through it. Maybe.
there is not a race car on this earth that doesn't take that completely at full lock. Maybe go-karts, maybe if you were to take Formula Vs here, they wouldn't be at full lock, but even still, you're turning the steering wheel all the way over. That's a tight corner.
So you are not missing any battles elsewhere in the field. It is a full second between Ted Burns and Everett Paddock. Another 2 seconds back to Sam Carasala in third. 8 tenths back to Nathan Block in fourth. And then 4 seconds separating the rest of the field until we get back to this fight with Brian Labarge leading the group. Labarge, Khan, Wynn, and Eskew.
Problems for Wes.
Yeah, it looks like Wes Shire having an issue here. Let's take a look. He was kind of right in the middle of this battle. Oh, just straight locks it up and has to take the escape route. Very nice to get the car hooked around quickly, but unfortunately going to take him out of that battle.
Yeah, it just wiggled on him on corner entry.
Frank Wynn able to get around Mobin Khan, and that may settle the last of the fights that we have going on here. Although Khan going to push back through the fountain section.
Yeah, but he's got, in fact, is he missing he's missing a side pod on the rear, or the right side.
Yeah, the right side of the car is just kind of not there. Gets you a good look at the internals, though.
Yeah, it's quite literally damage control for him right now.
So we'll slide up into the battle for the third position. You'll see your 2 race leaders briefly, but again, they're separated by a full second. Here, Sam Carasala holding off Nathan Block by about 3/4 of a second as Ted Burns continues to set fast lap after fast lap. At this point now, for almost everybody in the field, this is a hot lapping session for the final 15 laps of this thing.
Yeah, you're just trying to drive as hard as you can and just hoping for the best at this point.
Well, and like what we're seeing here with Carasala and Block there, Bizzle, it's almost like you're trying to get close enough just to force the other guy to check his relative or check his mirror at the wrong time and maybe force a mistake.
Yeah, that's one of the best ways to pass here is just wait for them to make a mistake. Fill up their mirrors, make them nervous, even spook them a couple times into some of the braking zones. Get on the brakes a little bit late, fake a dive bomb slot, and right behind them. It gets in their head, and eventually you'll see them overstep one of these curbs, get the car sideways, or just push a little too hard, almost hit one of the walls, or maybe they will hit one of the walls.
Tough break for Ari Corcadilos, too. The 2 guys he's rooting for going out of the race in lap number 1. As it stands right now, we still have 13 of the 15 cars on the racing surface. Jason Miller, the only car 1 lap down. Wes Shire about 30 seconds back of the race leaders, so he's not in danger of going a lap down, at least not yet anyway. Carl Lemkool, Aiden Luis Ingrata, and Alexander Wesley Hazelworth all out of this race. The big story at this point anyway may be Brian Molitor running back in position number 6. He was sitting about 120 points or so back of Ted Burns for the championship with only 3 races left to go. If Teddy B goes out and picks up a win in a 37-37 SOF, James, I think that about may seal up a championship here for Ted Burns.
I would agree with that. Because right now, Ted's just kind of on another level. And it's funny, I said that in qualifying that Ted's going to need a lot of luck to avoid dropping down too far with messing up lap 2. Yeah, he definitely had the luck since he still got the pole anyways.
Still got the pole, continues to set fast lap after fast lap. And you're going to see that happen a lot here, Bizzle, because we talked about the weather. The track temperature is up to 68 degrees, but now they've got heat in the tires. So at this point, the cars are only going to get better from here.
Yeah, they get faster, you can push them even harder, and this is when you'll start to see a lot of guys make mistakes, because now you can get that car closer to the wall or hit the same marks going 10 miles an hour faster. Every lap you're going to try pushing it more and more and more up until you overstep the limit. And it's not like a track where there's nice green grass or runoff to the outside where if you overstep the limit, it's not the end of the world. You get a little dirt on the side of the car. Here, you're hitting that big concrete wall and you're going to tear a toe link or whatever, and you're going to basically end your night right there.
Yeah, now we talked about Brian Molitor giving up points. Guy who's going to make up a bunch potentially is Everett Paddock, sitting second in this very good SOF race. He is 7th in points, and he was about 34 points back of Brian Labarge for 6th, and only 130 back of Alexander Wesley Hazelworth for 5th in points. This could be a very big night for Everett Paddock and potentially set the vault him up into the top 5.
Yeah, this is a run he needed, like you said. Like, it's not been a... He just has not caught the breaks that he's needed. Like, he's been in a lot of incidents that have not been his fault. So, finally having a good run, running, you know, where we're accustomed to seeing him run on a regular basis.
And unlike I'm going to say a real-world point-scoring system where it's just based on finishing position. In Indy cars, you finish first, you're going to get 40 points, and then you work your way backwards from there. This is entirely based on the strength of field. So a guy like Nathan Block running 4th, if he passes Sam Carasala, that's taking away objectively more points than if it were Nicholas Daly coming around Sam Carasala or something along those lines. Somebody that's not involved in the championship can actually play spoiler in a big way.
Well, not quite. It doesn't really affect the points. Oh! Well, there went that talking point.
Yeah, I was just going to say, huge incident for Nathan Block. And he has to immediately take the toe. See what happened to Block here on the way into one, just snaps the back end out, and a huge hit in the wall.
It looked like he just blocked the rears.
With how flat Long Beach is, there's no banking in any of these corners, so you're going to keep dialing that brake bias more and more to the back, trying to get the car to rotate in these corners. And you saw it right there. Dial it too far back, you get on the braking zone, and the back end comes around very quickly.
So we're going to follow along with Wes Shire, Mobin Khan, and Rod Eskew. That'll be 9th, 10th, and 11th. Eskew, Shire, then Khan as they come through your screen. And this is right now the only battle on the racetrack. The next closest fight between Eskew and Shire is going to be Brian Labarge versus Frank Wynn for 7th, and that is 1.4 seconds on the racing surface. And quite frankly, here at Long Beach, 1.4 seconds is fairly close, but it's not as good as this battle that we're seeing here. Man, it's so easy to get the car rotating too much on corner exit there. It's tough to, you want to just put the foot down. You're so slow, it's like, okay, give me gas now. But you really do have to roll the car back into the throttle.
Great job to hold on to the position by Rod. Yeah, that's got to be one of the hardest turns to put the power down on the surface, you know. Oh, because you're going so slow through that practically any car is going to be dealing with a ridiculous amount of wheel spin. And even if you're taking it easy, you're still getting some sort of wheel spin. You're just never going to get through that corner perfectly.
So Nathan Block still sitting on pit lane, but that car looks to be out of the race, up over 2 minutes worth of damage repair. And where he wrecked, that is a crazy long tow time here as well.
Yeah. And is he back on the track?
No, he is now retired officially.
I was gonna say, the timing and scoring kind of blipped on my end. Yeah, that car was pretty well demolished.
Third car in line here is Jason Miller, not involved in the fight between Eskew and Shire that we are watching right now. But inside of 10 laps to go, Ted Burns has the lead up over 2.6 seconds ahead of Everett Paddock. Sam Carasala holding on to third. Nicholas Daly, Brian Molitor, the top five.
Shire with a huge draft trying to get by Eskew coming in turn one here.
Yeah, this is the best run that Wes has had out of that final quarter, and he'll get the pass. Completed, but there's contact. Shire goes around. Big hit for Rod Eskew. Eskew takes the contact both ways.
That looks like the 9 of Miller involved as well.
Well, yeah, he may have just been peeling out of the way, but taking a look at Wes Shire's car, it almost looks like he got away with the contact a little bit here. Same cannot be said, though, for Rod Eskew.
Yeah, that just kind of looks a bit similar to what happened to Block. I think just locked the rear a bit, just ever so slightly. Just goes right around on him.
That wasn't the huge hit. The big one was Jason Miller making the contact, although the rear wing did come off of Rod Eskew's car. So he has to take the tow, and it will be a long one. And now the attrition battle is starting to come into play here. We are down to 10 cars remaining on the lead lap. Jason Miller back in the pit area. Alexander Wesley Hazelworth has rejoined the race, getting around Carl Lemkool and Aiden Luis and Grata. But again, 9 laps down is Hazelworth. But now the fight between Wes Shire and Mobin Khan is a battle for position. Ted Burns again goes fastest lap. 1 minute 14.634. I always like looking at the different lap averages, and we'll pick up Ted Burns here at the front of the field because he has been the model of consistency in this race. The 5-lap average is a 14.717. The 10-lap average, a 14.753. The 15-lap average, a 14.770. Just the car is on rails right now. And those lap averages are ticking down ever so slightly with each new fastest lap. But they are very, very consistent, too.
Yeah, that's a driver who has spent a lot of time practicing. I mean, he makes the lap guides and setups every week that all of these other drivers can use to help them practice. So Ted Burns definitely putting in the work, and it is paying dividends here tonight.
And James, that is something that Ted has started doing for this season to try and help grow the community. And quite frankly, I think we're seeing it pay off a little bit here, because places like Long Beach, we wouldn't necessarily get a split out of. You might get 28 cars or whatever it is in one race, or 26 cars. But it was a wide gap in terms of iRating and just outright skill. Now we're seeing 2 splits, and quite frankly have a lot of good cars in them.
Yeah, that's we've been wanting to see participation get back to this level for a long time. Seeing the how it's been the last couple seasons has been painful. So the fact that we're starting to get back to a point to where we're splitting on a near regular basis for SOF night, it's important for all of us here.
Yeah, and quite frankly, with the announcement that iRacing is introducing rain for 2024 Season 2, I would kind of hope that they would look at some of the lesser participated series and say, hey, maybe we'll activate the rain for these cars next to try to help boost that participation. And maybe you can use that new feature as a way to help grow this series as well.
Please, and give us the option to do it on ovals so we can add a little spice to some random shock race for the next season.
Oh, that would be fun. Just a random downpour in the middle of a race at Southern National.
Or better yet, spice up the super speedway race. Put rain at the IMS.
The AJ Camargo, does this race count for points in time trials for Ted?
It should.
Yeah. Man alive. The slip angle out of that car through turn 8, I guess it is there. That is something that I just do not have the feel for. And we joke about my old gear, but that literally is how you turn fast lap times in cars like these. You have to get the back end of the car slipped out and know that edge of grip.
Yeah, I was going to point that out. Like, he's got a healthy lead and a handful of laps to go, and he's still wheeling the ever-loving heck out of it at a place where wheeling it at all is scary to say the least. So he's in the zone. And honestly, as weird as this sounds, it's probably safer for him to do so. Like, once you get into that rhythm, like, it's hard to break it. And if you're trying to drive slower than you would trying to change how you do something, you've actually put yourself at more of a risk of doing something wrong because you're already in that habit. Like, look at that. He was like a piece of paper away from touching the wall, but he's just going about his business like it's nothing.
Well, and Bizzle, that sort of goes back to the Prost versus Senna discussion that you and I have had. Alain Prost had the ability to slow his car down and only do the minimum needed to win. If Ayrton Senna tried to slow the car down, he would wreck it. He did that at Monaco twice. Ted Burns is, when you practice all week thinking, okay, I'm going to be battling Carter Lundy, I'm going to be battling Everett and Sam and all the guys that run up front here every week, you don't really practice backing off at all.
No, and sorry.
Yeah, no, you're not practicing going slow. You're not practicing your 90% marker, your 80% marker. All you know is 100%. So don't change what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Obviously, it's working for him. He's still pulling away from Paddock and hasn't hit any of the walls. So why change it now with 2 laps to go?
Pretty decent little battle shaping up back here between Mike Holler and Brian Labarge. With 2 to go, we'll pick these guys up for at least a little bit anyway, although it seems like everybody at this point that we've shown has gotten into an incident. Mike, Brian, we're not trying to jinx you. I'm seeing in the comments that Devlin DeFrancesco is running split 2 tonight. I am not at all surprised by that. The IndyCar Series heads to Long Beach in not that much time. Laps at a circuit are laps at a circuit to me.
Maybe I'm not, but I'm a little surprised that he's in the bottom split. I mean, I know these guys are the best of the best, but we've seen the success out of a bunch of rear-wheel drivers, especially the younger rear-wheel drivers, they've had on the service. So I'm surprised his iRating's not high enough.
He's too busy driving other cars at a different sim called Real Life. I don't know, I haven't tried that sim yet.
Yeah. Oh, interesting to
I
see
heard
Brian Labarge having to kind of back off there into turn number 1.
Yeah, he's on a whole excursion those last couple quarters.
Picking up our race leader off the final corner. He'll come down under the twin checkers, and Ted Burns picks up the win at Long Beach by a wide margin, over 5 seconds ahead of Everett Paddock in second. And we got to go another 4 seconds back to find Sam Carasala in third. There, fourth place, Nicholas Daly. And Brian Molitor hasn't even gotten to the final hairpin yet, but navigate this final corner successfully, and Molitor will come home with a 5th place finish here this evening. Coasted down over the line, hit your parking spot, adios amigo. Mike Holler able to hold off Brian Labarge by a half second at the line. Just waiting on a couple of more cars to get finished, but while they do that, we'll pick up your race winner here and get you a look at Ted Burns. My goodness. A fantastic drive. And race results are now official, so we can go ahead and give you tonight's final race results. Ted Burns over Everett Paddock and Sam Carasala for the podium. Nicholas Daly and Brian Molitor complete the top 5. 6 through 10 tonight, Mike Holler, Brian Labarge, Frank Wynn, Wes Shire, and Mobin Khan. Looks like possibly a penalty not served for Mobin Khan as he flipped spots with Wes Shire at the finish. 11 through 16, all finishing 3 laps or more behind the race winner. That'll be Jason Miller, Rod Eskew, Alexander Wesley Hazelworth, Nathan Block, Carl Lemkool, and Aiden Luis Ingrata. So while we wait for the field, our podium guys, to get up here into the broadcast booth, I'll tell you what, James, this was not a race that I was expecting us to see here tonight. A lot of carnage early, which, okay, that kind of is expected a little bit, but it just seemed to continue, and every time we looked around, there was another incident somewhere on the racetrack.
Yeah, we've had races here like this before. I think this is like the 3rd or 4th time where dumpster fire is a term that could have been thrown out as a description for the race. But as far as dumpster fires go, it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, and it's interesting that, Bizzle, that we get the joke out of Nietzsche Camargo that this counts as a time trial for Ted Burns, but it's fun to watch a guy put on a clinic like that and just go fast lap after fast lap after fast lap, and getting to watch the best at something ply their trade, so to speak. That's a whole lot of fun to just kind of hang out and observe.
Yeah, you can definitely tell he put the work in here tonight. He spent all of his time practicing, made sure he was ready to go out there and basically whoop the rest of this field, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, and oh, there we go. I'm just now seeing our race winner pop into the booth. Oh, here comes Everett Paddock as well. So let's check in with our race winner tonight, Mr. Ted Burns. And man, Ted, I'll tell you what, an absolutely fantastic drive tonight. I don't think you went into this one thinking it was going to be as easy as it was, though.
No, but it's never easy at Long Beach. It's a tough track to drive around, but I just got to like a special place tonight, and that car was hooked up. Like, it did exactly what I wanted it to. I could turn into the walls and somehow not hit them. Didn't pick up a single 0x all race, and it was an awesome flow state. Like, so it felt so good to drive.
when you get into that kind of thing, what is that mentally like? Because I would think it's easy when you're trying to run this place by yourself. It's easy to get distracted or make that little mistake. And it has to just be an incredible feeling to go, I just can't miss.
Yeah, for sure. I was almost like, I mean, I was super focused, but I was almost like zoned out almost. Like I wasn't even like really thinking about the track. It was just like, just my eyes were just carrying me, carrying the car around, hitting all of my marks. And I wasn't thinking about, having to go any faster, slower, think about anyone else. Never, mine never wandered. It was just point to point the whole time, and it just felt awesome. And yeah, it doesn't happen often, so it was really cool when it does.
Well, we go to the viewer's choice, so to speak, next week. The community voting Kern County Raceway as a third oval onto the schedule for next season. What are your thoughts there? Because after a night like tonight, the championship is all but wrapped up. You get to just go out there and have some fun at a little bull ring next week.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice and relaxing, and I love racing short tracks. So I think it's cool that we got it voted in, and so it'll be fun to try this car out there. I'm sure it'll be mayhem. Hopefully it's not too much fighting in the pits afterwards. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good race. And so nice to kind of wrap up the championship and not have to have that in the back of the mind, needing a good finish. So it'll be real nice to have all the pressure off going in there.
Well, I tell you what, I'm looking forward to it. Maybe a little bit of beef post race is never a bad thing. Grill yourself up a big old steak there, buddy. But congratulations on the win here tonight, and do all those sponsor plugs and shout outs before we let you go.
Yeah, I got to thank Downforce Racing. Setup was awesome this week. Car was so nice to drive. I got to thank you guys for putting on an awesome broadcast, and thank everyone for coming out. I was bummed not to see Adam Crane only, spotting this session, and Carter not showing up tonight. Would have been awesome to race those guys when I'm feeling my best, as opposed to most weeks when they show up. And for everyone else out in the community, I'm posting my setups out there and exactly how I'm thinking about driving the track out here. So, it's that's all that's going through my mind, and so what I tell everyone else. So, make sure to check that out, and hopefully get everyone else up to speed and keep seeing a couple splits for the broadcast.
Yeah, we appreciate all of your hard work and efforts to grow this community, Ted. We do appreciate it, and congratulations once again on the win. And now we're going to get to talk to a guy that I don't think maybe once this season we've had a chance to talk to, but Everett Paddock picking up a very nice second place finish here. Talk us through a little bit about what you were kind of thinking and feeling at the start, because a whole lot was going on right around you, not necessarily in front of you at the incidents in turn one, but that's always got to be one of those things of it just makes you a little nervous.
Well, when it's behind you, it's not quite as nerve-wracking as when it's in front of you. I'll tell you that, brother.
It was a good start for you. Able to grab second before you got to turn one, avoid some of the carnage. And then at that point, how do you go about trying to chase down Ted when it just seems like he's on another world?
Yeah, he was pretty hooked up, and, man, I just struggled. Maybe I was trying too hard, trying to keep up with him. I have a really nice setup for this track, and I love this place, and I just struggled with front grip a lot, and maybe I overdrove it, but Ted will do that to you.
Is that potentially an issue with just how cool the temperatures were tonight? I mean, even now at post race, we're only at 69 degrees at track temperature. It's got to be kind of difficult to get the tires warmed up and really feel comfortable with it.
I don't think it was a warm-up thing. I think it was like, it's the iRacing deal is like localized overheating, and I think maybe I tried a little too hard at the beginning and just got a little more front heat than I had rear, and I just never could get the balance to where I could really dance around the corners the way I liked.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's still a hell of a drive tonight. Put the car up on the podium. Congratulations on it. And before we let you go, do all those sponsor plugs and shout-outs for us.
Yeah, will do. I hate to say that I'm actually happy with second, but I am actually happy with second. And just want to thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast tonight, and my TNT team and my DFR guys that like to that I hang out with. So all good, man. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate you coming up to hang out with us here in the booth for a couple of minutes. And now we're going to talk to our third place finisher tonight, Mr. Sam Carasala. And Sam, I'll tell you what, you had a better view of the carnage at turn number 1, but after that, it seemed like this was a kind of a hot lapping session for you.
Hey, thanks, guys. Yes, it was. For the first 10 or so laps, who was behind me, Nathan Block, was keeping me honest, but I think he kind of crashed out towards the end. So after that, I had 5 or 6 seconds back to Daly, and just keep the car in one piece, keep running consistent laps, and don't mess up what I've got going for me.
Is that a bit of mental strain, I guess, to say, hey, this place is so tight you can't make a mistake anywhere, and yet at the same time you kind of can get into that zoned out, and that's when you make the mistake?
For me, I'm the opposite. When I'm completely zoned out, I'm just driving. That's when I do my fastest laps. It's when I start really kind of overthinking what I'm doing. That's when the mistakes start coming. But a track like Long Beach, it was really hard to get the car feeling good this week. So just very happy that I kept the car in one piece and ran the cleanest laps I could.
Well, you were not the only person to say that to us in the post-race interviews. It was a tough setup this week, but managed to do it. Come home third. You're going to pick up a bunch of points here on Carter Lundy as well, I think. Congratulations on the podium once again here, Sam. And before we let you go, do all those sponsor plugs and shout-outs for us.
Hey, thanks to you guys again for broadcasting. I hope as many people as possible see this broadcast and come race this car. And thanks to Team Watson Racing for the setup.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us here. And I think we've done the wrap-up, unless there's anything else that either of you guys want to add here, James and Bizzle. Like we said, interesting show. It seemed like a lot of guys were having trouble getting the car hooked up. And, well, quite frankly, I think that's why we saw a lot of the incidents that we saw here as well.
Yeah, I wonder how much the cool temps that we talked about earlier had to do with it. It was definitely, but then again, we've seen these races here before that get a bit chaotic. So I think it's just, no matter even the greatest drivers will always struggle with this track at times. So we saw a heck of a race. All things considered.
Yes, we did. And quite frankly, we are going to see 2 more of those coming up this weekend. I know it's Daytona 500 weekend, but you do not want to miss what we have coming up here on the National Racing Network. The Spec Corvettes that put on an absolute rager of a show last weekend at Sebring are going to do it again, this time from the Chuckwalla Valley Raceway out in California. Times listed on the YouTube are Pacific, so we will update them. 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time is what it looks like the start times will be for those. We will get a final schedule confirmation on that from the Spec Corvette folks tomorrow, but look about 6:30 is what we would anticipate for races on Saturday and Sunday. And I don't think you're going to miss anything from Daytona, because Sunday looks potentially like an entire washout at the World Center of Racing. So check us out here on the National Racing Network for the Spec Corvette racing action. Coming up next week, we kick off we celebrate the President's Day holiday with the Silver Crown Series visiting Kentucky Speedway for round 11 of their 12-round championship. That race will kick off at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tuesday night, the Sprints visit Lanier National Raceway for round 11 of 12. That race, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wednesday night, we're going to do something driving-wise. Not sure yet. Maybe it'll be the Daredevil Series. We'll see. Not sure how that one's going to play out, but we'll do something Wednesday night. Thursday, Indy Pro 2000 is back at Kern County Raceway Park, or Kevin Harvick's Kern Raceway now is the new owner, new name. And then next weekend, maybe, just maybe, we'll run a Bathurst GT3 race too. Maybe. I think that's a 12-hour though, so I would have to find a teammate or 6 to carry my ass through that. But
you only need 2 people to do a 12-hour. Don't be a sissy.
We're only going to last 9 minutes in it anyway.
I'll start the car.
Yes, Bizzle, we're going to run a near bottom split Bathurst 12-hour, and we'll see if Bizzle and I can do it. And then if I can't show up, Bizzle's just going to run the whole 12 hours by himself. That would be awesome. But with that, it's time for us to get the heck on out of here before we say anything else dumb. For Bizzle, Watson, and everybody else here at the National Racing Network, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us, and we will talk to you all soon. Have a great weekend, everybody.